Good evening. It's Sunday, April 28th.
In news from Central America, Guatemala's highest judicial authority, the Constitutional Court, last week reset the genocide trial of the country's former leader, General Rios Montt, and a co-defendant, General José Mauricio Rodríguez Sánchez. In late 2011, the judge on the case, Carol Flores, was recused on a motion by counsel for General Rodriguez. At that point, and at the apparent instigation of the Justice Ministry, the case went forward under Judge Yasmin Barrios. But then, after 16 months of proceeding under Judge Barrios, including a one-month trial that was nearing a conclusion, the Constitutional Court invalidated the proceeding and returned the case to Judge Flores. In turn, Judge Flores reset the case to the moment at which she had been removed from it, December 2011. Judge Barrios promptly said she would appeal the decision, but if the ruling by the Constitutional Court stands, it will mean that all testimony in the case will have to be redone. The decision raised an outcry from human rights activists around the world, including a group of Nobel laureates. It was also greeted with relief by many in Guatemala who said that the proceeding under Judge Barrios had been blatantly one-sided. Adding to an already complex situation, the US Embassy in Guatemala, shortly before announcement of the Constitutional Court ruling, had issued a qualified endorsement for the prosecution. In a press release that praised the Justice Ministry, the embassy statement said, quote, "In recent years, the country has achieved significant progress in strengthening the justice sector by bringing charges against those responsible for crimes committed during the internal armed conflict," unquote. After expressing hope for impartial and transparent justice, the embassy statement added, quote, "We exhort all Guatemalans to respect the legitimacy and integrity of this process," unquote. Kelsey Alford Jones is director of a Washington nonprofit, the Guatemala Human Rights Commission. Speaking with KPFA shortly before the case had been reset, Jones had praise for the embassy statement, for the prosecution, and for the chief of the Justice Ministry, Attorney General Claudia Paz y Paz.
I believe, as do many of my colleagues and other international organizations and legal experts, that she has done an excellent job in carrying out independent investigations into these atrocities from the past. It's a very difficult job. There are immense pressures from both sides, of course, but I do not believe that it is a reflection of any personal political position that she has, but rather a recognition that these emblematic cases from the past have a right to move forward. It's a right of the victims to see justice.
Another point of view comes from Armando de la Torre, who is Dean of Graduate Studies at the Francisco Marroquín University in Guatemala. Speaking from that country, he told KPFA that the genocide trial is a political exercise. He added that it reflects the situation of the country today, which he says is ruled by a coalition made up of odd bedfellows.
The wealthy plutocrats of this country and the extreme left, who are helping each other in different ways. And the ones who are hurting of all this situation is the middle class and the people who have no vested interest in government.
The left, says Professor de la Torre, is led by Attorney General Claudia Paz y Paz, while the oligarchs are represented by President Perez. Another group that has been caught in the middle, he says, are legal professionals, some of the Justice Ministry's own prosecutors, who have resisted following the Attorney General's instructions. Speaking of those prosecutors, de la Torre said this.
They know about the penal code, the criminal code, but they don't know about politics. Whereas the left knows about politics and does not know much about criminal law. So they are easily outmaneuvered by the left, which is very intensely political oriented.
That's Armando de la Torre, Dean of Graduate Studies at the Francisco Marroquín University in Guatemala.